$4,900, $5,500 if you want the top handle, and another $700 if you want the EVF. The Sony FX5 finally was announced. This is a banger of a camera, but is it worth it? Let's find out. If you're like me, you probably end up watching a ton of reviews on a camera that you already decided that you're going to buy or not. I'm not going to try to add to the confusion. I just want to give you my perspective, my experience as a working professional that already ordered the camera as soon as it was announced, because I believe this is a camera or a tool that's going to help me with my client work. The spec sheet is actually kind of wild. I'm not going to run through it, but just to give you a few, 5K open gate, which is fantastic, finally. Internal RAW, and apparently the file size is pretty manageable. New optional viewfinder, new screen, finally, we have a new screen. I tested the Nikon ZR and the screen itself made me want to switch to Nikon. 5K, 3x2 open gate. Great for anamorphic, great for social content when you want to crop from an horizontal frame. Great sensor readout. So it's a fully stacked sensor, which is great actually. Triple base ISO, dual gain, 5K open gate. Probably my favorite feature coming out of the FX5. I've been trying this Lumix S1II when it came out. I had it for about 6 months. Loved the camera, but this camera was overheating like crazy in the Miami heat. And I couldn't really rely on this camera. And the fact that Lumix autofocus is not that great was kind of a pain to deal with. But once again, great camera. Apparently, open gate modes are only available in their X-OCN RAW format, which apparently is great because it's not such a massive format like ProRes HQ or Nikon R3D RAW. And Nikon R3D, boy, this thing was massive. I was getting about an hour per terabyte, which is incredible, especially now with the crazy prices that you see on storage. It's such a great news that apparently the file size are not going to be as big. So in that case, I might switch my workflow to RAW for most of my projects, especially when I need open gate. I would go on and say at least half of my clients require a crop, and 16:9, I'm sorry, a 9:16 crop from the actual 16:9, and sometimes it's very tough to work with such a narrow frame. So having open gate will help me mitigate this issue and deliver a product that is better for my clients. One other thing that got me super excited is the new screen. The new screen is a 3.5-inch display that actually tilts and swivel on the side as well, which is great because this is the best screen combination that you can have. The Nikon ZR has a larger screen, I believe it's a 4-inch, but unfortunately it only swivels. The Lumix S1II is a smaller screen, but it does exactly the same mechanism, and I think it's probably the best screen mechanism on the market. But now we have it on the Sony and a bigger screen, which is fantastic. Triple base ISO is also a big one. On the Sony FX3, you only had the option in S-Log3 to shoot at 800 ISO or 12,800 ISO as base. You can obviously adjust the ISO as needed, but it was not ideal because you were basically losing dynamic range and adding more noise to your image. This time, they have 3 bases. First one is 800, second one is 4,000, and the third one is 12,800. And 4,000 is fantastic because it's basically a middle ground between 800 and 12,800, and it's way more ideal, especially for interiors or when the sun is still out and 12,800 doesn't really make sense. So 4,000 is a welcome addition. And they also have this dual gain mode that basically maximize your dynamic range, I believe, to 16 stops by combining the first base ISO at 800 and the second one and the third one is 12,800, or maybe the one at 4,000. I'm not sure exactly, but it helps you protect your shadows and your highlights in your image, so you don't basically overexpose or underexpose. It's a great way to have a beautiful image with a lot of dynamic range without too many artifacts. I haven't seen the images yet, but from what I heard, it's pretty good. And I'm very glad that they added this option as it could help. So when you add this open gate, new EVF, new top handle, a RAW format, all those new options that this camera brings, you would think that this is basically a FX3 killer, as most people on YouTube have been saying for the past year. And so Sony is actually keeping the Sony FX3 in their lineup, and I believe it's probably the smartest move, as the FX3 still makes a ton of sense. I'm actually shooting an FX3 right now. It still makes a ton of sense as content creation, as a professional tool, as a B cam to bigger cinema cameras. It's still a fantastic tool, and if anyone is on the verge of, it might be too expensive to get an FX5, I would definitely recommend to get an FX3. It still makes a ton of sense. Used market is going to be crazy. after the release in August 20th. And I still think the FX3 is probably one of the best cameras on the market, even after the FX5 comes out. Obviously, for the $1,000 and some change dollars extra, you have features that really make sense for the FX5. But if you're not interested in open gate and the new EVF is not really your thing and you think it gets too expensive, I would say get an FX3. You know, really, it's probably still the best camera on the market as of today. And once again, I've tested most of this range of camera, probably the exception being the Canon C50, but I've tried the Nikon ZR for an extensive period of time. Same thing for the Lumix S1II. And I can tell you, as of today, I don't think any of those cameras really beat the FX3. And the FX5 is really comes like to be on top of the hill at this price range. To wrap up, it's definitely not the perfect camera, and Sony is not even dropping all the feature before next summer. I believe August 2027 is when they're bringing 4K 240 FPS and open gate 5K 60 or 120. I can't remember exactly. I'll double check. But yeah, so the camera is not complete and they're selling it. Are you okay with it? I am, because the features that they're dropping are really useful for my workflow. Are they for yours? Make sure before you spend that kind of cash on a camera that is not really complete as of today. Also, you might already have a camera that's doing the work. If you have a camera that came out in the past 2 or 3 years, you're probably set. You don't really need to upgrade. If you're coming from, I don't know, a 5-year camera like the Sony A7S3 or Sony A7 III, or you want to get more into video, the FX5 might be the best option that you can get at this price range. I've been waiting a long time to actually upgrade and get a replacement for my FX3, so I'm probably going to sell it once I get the FX5. I'm super excited, looking forward to receive my camera and actually play with it and see how far I can push it. I'm super excited for the raw codec, see if the file size is actually manageable. I'm super excited for the screen. I don't know why, but I'm tired of the FX3 screen. I'm super excited about open gate possibility. I love to shoot anamorphic, and this is going to be fantastic. I also received the Tilta autofocus adapter for Sony mount, and it's working. I don't want to say flawlessly, but it's fantastic. So super excited for this camera. Let's see how it goes. Stay tuned. There's probably more videos coming on the FX5 as soon as I receive it, and also probably some work-related stuff. I'm not a tech reviewer per se, but you know, I just want to share my experience and probably give you tips and information about from someone that actually uses those cameras to make money and feed his family. So yeah, if you like that type of content, please subscribe and let me know if you have any questions in the comment. And in the meantime, choose.